Hello, and welcome to the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd. My pork chops expire tomorrow. Don't let me forget. Need to freeze those or cook them. Tuesday, June 3rd episode. I believe it's 111, but I'm not entirely confident. I am Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and the Fat Squirrel SQRL on Instagram. I'm your hostess. Trying to think of anything else I'm supposed to say. You'd think after 110 episodes, I would know this by now. And yet, ta-da! Every time is new and exciting. So, I didn't record last week. Oh my gosh, there's no good reason. I just didn't. We went camping though. Oh my gosh. You're all whatever. I sound like a total Valley Girl of craziness. That's okay. It's character. Not really like this. Totally am. I'm drinking coffee. I just put the kiddo on the bus. The husband is still asleep. I'm hoping to get this done before he comes downstairs, puts pen in it. A balloon of joy. So it's like, oh, shenanigans! So this last Memorial Day weekend, which is typically the last weekend in May, we went camping. It's our first camping trip of the year. It was fabulous. I was a little bit concerned because we went to Monroe Lake. Oh, I should have brought that over. Bad. We went to Monroe Lake, which is one of our favorite places to camp. Maybe I can use this instead. Well, it's one of our favorites. We've camped there before and we enjoyed it. Well, I enjoyed it because I don't know if you believe in the whole like astrological thing or not, but I'm a Cancer and I have a serious affinity for water. So if we can camp like we camp on this little like peninsula-y thing, it's a little outcrop. Peninsula is way too big a word for what it is. It's a little outcrop. So like you camp and you can see the water. It's right there. The kids can walk down to the beach. The adults can walk down to the beach. I love water. I really want to go camping at Lake Erie. I can't even stop thinking about it. I'm sorry. Nobody else wants to go because it's like a 5-hour trip. There's a ferry ride. But they have state camping sites on the lake. Have any of you... Oh, I could totally ask you. Have any of you ever camped at South Bass Island? Or any of the Great Lakes Islands, perhaps Kelly Island? But I'm more interested in South Bass Island for some reason. Well, because I've never actually been on Kelly Island. So South Bass still has some nostalgia qualities. If you don't know this about me, which why would you? Unless you've watched the show before, and I've probably talked about it because I have no recall for what I've said ever before. When I was a little girl, shenanigans are on a shenanigan-y outcropping here, sorry. I'm using outcropping a lot. I don't know what's going on. Whatever. I might have slightly sun poisoning. I totally don't have sun poisoning. I'm just going to use it as an excuse. But when I was a little girl, every summer since the first summer I went, I was 6 weeks old. So I was born at the end of June, so I guess we went in August. That's weird. But anyways, every summer since I was 6 weeks old on, until I got into sometime in high school, I stopped going. For reasons I will not discuss. It's not that exciting. But anyway, I think like my senior year I didn't go or something. But every year I went to Lake Erie with my grandparents because my grandparents, well, my grandfather is like a very serious hardcore fisherman. And I don't mean any of this like taking a 24-pack of brew on the boat and like chilling. I mean up at dawn on the boat. My family are teetotalers, so there's no alcohol anywhere. Up at dawn, on the boat, up before dawn, so you can be on the boat at dawn. You go out, you hopefully catch your limit. If not, you come in, you eat something, you clean the fish that you caught in the morning, you go back out until you either catch your limit or it's dark. Sometimes, if the fish are really biting, you go out, you catch your... Now I'm saying this may be illegal. You don't know who my grandfather is, DNR. Shush. He's very sticklery for rules. I'm sure it's legal. because he knows that like the people can come and count all the fish in your freezer. So, and he, again, our whole family is very into minding the law. There are no rebel rousers. See, I'm totally afraid of implicating my grandfather. Whatever, it's over. Anyway, moving on. So if it's really crazy, you go out, you catch your limit, you come back, you go out again. That's how intense they are. So they would catch enough fish for our whole family for the whole year, plus they would always give it away to, like, my grandfather has 7 siblings and my grandmother has 2. So then there would be enough fish for, like, you give it away, and it was like a big to-do. Anyway, so a lot of my childhood memories. Okay, I don't ever show my tattoos on purpose, but this is pertinent. So my fishy tattoo, this was the first tattoo I ever got. See, look at that. Totally impossible to show you what's going on. But my first tattoo I ever got was my Lake Erie tattoo. There's a fish in the middle. There's poppies on the outside. There were poppies on our... We stayed at the Jim Brett's cabins on Middle Bass Island. Jim is no longer with us. Rest in peace. But we stayed in the cabin. My favorite cabin was the one that was front and faced the lake, and the poppies were all right in front of it. There was like a big... It was a big drop-off. So we go down all these steps. There was a dock, but we didn't use that dock, except we came in and we caught too many. Because my grandfather always docked his boat in a marina. Where's this story going? Really? Why do you watch this? I love you. I would totally watch it too. Okay, so what was I talking about? Oh, water. Is that really where that was going? Oh, because I went to camp on South Bass Island. Oh, that's right. The bad thing about Ohio, in Indiana, when you go camping, if you go to the place where you reserve your campsites, there are usually 2 pictures of each campsite, so you can kind of get an idea. Ohio has not caught on to this yet. Ohio? Chop chop. So I can't really tell what campsites look like. Have any of you camped there? If you have, please tell me. Thank you. But anyway, so I really want to camp there. Nobody in my family is that excited about the idea. Because we always camp with friends, which is why that's a good part of why camping is fun. And again, I don't know that I can convince our friends to drive 5 hours each way to go camp on a lake that they have no nostalgic care for. Anyway, it's like the ocean almost. It's a great lake. There's historical stuff. On South Bass Island, you can walk inside a geode. What? It's true. There are wineries. Just imagine the shenanigans, people. So anyway, back to the other shenanigans. Speaking of geodes, look at that tie-in. Bam. So we went to Monroe Lake, which is, if you've watched the show for a while, we went there last year on Memorial Day, and my kid brought home an entire gallon Ziploc bag of geodes. Because it's like a weird thing about the South Central Indiana. The glaciers, when they came, I have a book called Roadside Geology of Indiana, which there's one for every state. You should totally get them. They're awesome. And they're Dover, so they're not very expensive. But anyway, so it shows you like the different glacial like edges, you know, where they stopped. And so this very small area of central Indiana is like the glaciers never deposited their sediment there. And that's not the reason there are geodes, but that's the reason the geodes aren't covered up. Like there are probably geodes under me right now, but they're covered by all that glacial sediment. Hence, oh my gosh, hence why that one in South Bass Island is totally underground. What? It's true. Ours are just floating around everywhere. You can see them in road cuts usually. Again, not in Indianapolis, you go south of Indianapolis. See them in road cuts very easily. Because the reason you don't always know they're geodes, especially if you don't know that that's a thing that's happening, is they really just look like rocks until you break them open, and then they're exploding crystals of excitement. The reason I went, oh, I should have brought that, is because the little boy, we camped with the same people we camped with last time, like our group of friends, but then there's 3 little campsites on this little thing. And the other people that were there were the same people that were last year. And they had a Boy Scout son, and he's very cute and well-mannered, as all Boy Scouts should be. And he totally broke open a geode for Tova with like his Boy Scout axe. We were like, what is that kid banging on? Oh, he's giving a gift to our child. So he totally gave her one, and it's beautiful. It's not like an amethyst or anything. It's just gorgeous, quartzy. It's exciting. So the reason I was like, oh, maybe this will work instead is my child drew a pic. She did a book, which we have laminated but have not yet trimmed out and everything. Oh, well, that's not very helpful. Tova. This is her picture of her geode. So there's the geode. You see some clawy stuff in the middle? That's supposed to be the crystals. She also found a rock that looked like an eagle's beak. Oh, these are both geodes. She also found what she believed to be a raccoon skull in the lake, which was very exciting for her. Here's a picture of me. I think that's a pretty accurate depiction. I don't have square breasts. Those are my arms, if you were concerned. Oh, then we have the awesomest geode. Oh, this is much better. I didn't realize this was in here. This would be the awesomest geode ever. By the way, she did not ask me how to spell awesomest, but that's a pretty good try, I think, for a word that's not a word. But so that's what her geode looked like. Oh, here's the boat of the boy who camped next to us. When you're 7, everybody's your best friend. So there's her playing ball. I was just trying to see if there was the wave jumping. Oh, was that in here? They put on a light show for us. We got the glow sticks. Here's my husband tending the fire. In all pictures drawn, we are both Caucasian, but my husband is of Italian descent and is very dark-skinned, and I am the whitest person ever. So in every picture of us, he is brown and I am peach. So this is him using the axe to chop up firewood. And here's the light show. This was very exciting. There were glow sticks. The 2 little girls put on a light show complete with musical accompaniment. It was pretty awesome. Here are all the chipmunks that were camped in there's a little bush of trees. So sorry, that was impromptu, but it was all because I forgot the geode. So sorry you had to endure that. By the way, I didn't make you look at the whole thing. There's 17 pages. So you're welcome. I should timestamp this one in case you don't want to listen to all this shenanigans. Whatever. Figure it out. Just fast forward to listen to me. So what else do I need to tell you? Oh, so when we got there, before we got there, I was really concerned because one of our friends who we were camping with sent us, and we were trying to, I was trying to tell them where we camped because we make the reservations because I really like to camp. Make sure everybody's on board. So we're sending out like where the campsites were, all this stuff. And she was like, oh no, the beach is closed. And I was like, what? And I got very angry because I was afraid that it was closed for some lame thing like blue algae or something. Apparently it was closed because there was no beach, because Monroe Lake is actually a man-made reservoir, and the water was high, yo. It was very high. It's 420 for that water. And so even I was really worried because when we camped there, there's no playground within easy walking distance. I mean, there is one within walking distance, but our children are 7 and 8, and we're, we try to be pretty relaxed. Sometimes it's hard, but vigilant at the same time. So we'll let them walk to that playground, but the rest of the campground, there's like these few little tent sites that are where we were at, and they're lovely. But the rest of this playground, or the campground, is like giant RVs, and because it's Memorial Day weekend, it's packed. So because of that, it's hard to get a line of sight, and Indiana is the flattest state ever, except I'm sure for Kansas or something. But it's hard to get like a line of sight so they could figure out where to go to get to the playground. The whole campground you can't get out of it except for the way that goes to the playground. So it's not like we were worried about them, going too far afield. Where is this even going? Oh, but the reason that campsite is so good is because the kids can walk down the beach and they literally just play on this beach. And it's Midwestern beach. It's gravel. It's not sand. But they play on this beach all weekend, and it was awesome. So when we get there and everything is closed and we get to our campsite and the water is, you know, where there were 20 feet of beach, there's now like 3. You can't even walk around to the different parts because the passages are flooded. I was really like, oh no, what have we done? These children are gonna drive us crazy all weekend. It's gonna be chaos. But it worked out smashingly. Because if you think your kids are not gonna do well, like if you think you would like to camp and you're afraid your children are gonna freak out because there's nothing electronic to do, don't bring them anything that is even remotely electronic. And they will have fun. Like, if there's a TV to watch, they will watch it, I'm sure. But if they don't even have that option, they will magically entertain themselves. Doesn't happen when you're home and there are like lots of things. But when there's only one thing, they don't have like you're overwhelmed by choice in the salsa aisle, right? When you're in the salsa aisle and there's 900 salsas and you just stand and look at them like, burr, 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 burr. That's how their lives are all the time. That's how all of our lives are all the time. It's kind of crazy. But when you take out all of those options, where it's like, all right, you can walk a mile to the playground, or you can play on this 3 feet of beach. There's some balloons and some light and some glow sticks. Oh no, not balloons. There's some bubbles. There's some bubbles and some nightsticks. Glow sticks, gah! And some markers. Have fun. They totally will. My child, who has always wanted to go fishing, but I don't own fishing equipment. I'm not licensed to fish. Even though I fished all those years, I still don't know technically how to clean a fish. I know I'm ashamed about it. I'm so ashamed. But my grandfather would just never let me. He was afraid to let me have the knife. I wanted to, but he would not let me have that knife. They are pretty wicked looking. I don't totally blame him for that. And he's of a generation where my grandmother cleaned the fish, but you know, dicey to let ladies do such things, especially when they're young and full of hope for the future. I don't know why that matters, but it does. Oh my gosh, there's a moth! Sorry, just freaked out a bit. Anyway. Oh, so I'm kind of afraid of like, if we catch the fish, I guess we could just do catch and release. That's what we should do. Sometimes you catch the fish, it's the end for the fish, even if you'd like to release it. And so that would be wasteful. But anyway, I could watch a YouTube video. For whatever reason, I have not. The heart of the reason I have not taken her fishing is because I believe 100% that she would be excited about it for 3 minutes and then be like, I'm over this. Well, the family that we went to, the Elsa's children, the fun uncle, everybody needs one, right? The fun uncle came and he's like in his 20s. It's like 26 or something. And his lovely little wife, who was so funny. Oh my gosh. They came and he wanted to go fishing, and so he bought the girls bamboo poles at the camp store or whatever, because he has a fishing license, and children under 16 don't need one in Indiana. So I'm like, oh, here we go. This is gonna be a whole mess of excitement for 2 minutes. She totally sat in that chair and fished. She did admit later that she fell asleep for a while. That's part of fishing, it's okay. Not my grandfather's fishing, but most people's fishing. Totally okay. She totally fell asleep for a while, but she fished for like an hour and a half to 2 hours and caught not a thing because whatever, I don't know how to fish off of land. I only know how to fish off of a boat. And there's no casting. That's the other thing. It's not even like you get to cast, which is kind of exciting. Nope, yeah, just sitting there with your pole in the water. What is going on with my weird accents today? I don't know what's happening. It's weird. I haven't recorded for 2 weeks. Apparently I stored some stuff up for y'all. And then she went to fish the next morning. Whatever. It's totally awesome. What else happened? It was exciting. For me. Maybe not for you. Sorry. Oh, we made hobo pies. Did I tell you about this last year? Last fall when we went camping, one of our friends, his father, when he was a young boy, used to, it was like a I'm going to get this wrong. I really feel like he was in like a motorcycle club or something. I totally sound like I'm 80 years old. A motorcycle club. I feel like it's something like that. I don't think it was like a church thing. Anyway, one of the things they would do to raise funds for this club is they would have like at the end of the rides or whatever, they would have like this, they called them hobo pockets. They would have a hobo pocket stand, which literally they would have like, do you know what a pie iron even is? They would have like, I'll look for a picture while I'm telling you the story that you don't care about. They would have all, I will definitely timestamp this. They will have all of these pie irons laid out, and you'd have the option, you could have a savory option, which I'm sure was something like hamburger potatoes. He told me, I can't remember, I'm sorry. And then there would be like sweet options. There'd be the cherry filling or apple pie filling. And they would make you like a little hobo pie. And that was how they raised their money. So he has this nostalgic thing about the hobo pies. And I always thought they were cool, but I just didn't ever think about it. And so he last year got one for us to all try. And it was a hit. So this year we all got some more. And we had a hobo pie recipe, or hobo pie party one evening. Party I use loosely. But we had grand fun making all the different crazy combinations. But the ultimate winner, because we did like faux s'mores. We did like faux s'mores, which is like you put the bread in and then you put like chocolate and marshmallow and then another piece of bread. There was like peanut butter, so you could do like peanut butter banana. There was all these different crazy combinations. There was of course pie filling. But the one that was the grandest hit of all, which you're going to be like, what? Was the Biscoff, right? Is that right? The Biscoff filling, which is like those European cookies made into like a delicious crack infested alternate to Nutella. It's not chocolate, but it's cookies. It's like before they extruded the cookies and baked them. It's basically like the most awesome cookie dough, but not containing raw eggs, so you can eat it. Here's the kind we use. Can you see that? Maybe. So that's what a pie iron looks like. It's cast iron. You have to season it. Not a big deal. But then these two pieces open up. You put a piece of bread in, you put your filling in, you put your other piece of bread in, and then you clamp it, and then you cut the crusts off the bread. So it seals all of the fillings inside. So the exciting filling of choice was the Biscoff, and now I said it once, and I can't even remember what the heck it was again. Yes, the Biscoff filling with banana and marshmallow. Trust me, I know how to eat some food, yo. Delicious. Oh my gosh. Biscoff spread. Biscoff. It's good, yo. Europeans know how to do stuff. Anyway, so that was the highlight of the food shenanigans. And I think that's all I will bore you with now, since it has been in fact 20 minutes of me talking about camping. I will also make this further clarification if you've stuck around this long. A friend of ours wanted to learn how to go camping. Like, she was like, I would really like to take my children camping, but I have no idea what to do. Can we go camping with you once? And yes, of course. But there are slight misconceptions about we car camp. This is not backpacking camping. This is not like we are at a campground, as I've said. So there are like designated spaces for you to camp, and you rent them out ahead of time for Memorial Day, sometimes 6 months ahead of time, because it gets a little crazy up in there. Okay. We tent camp because I just like to tent camp. And quite frankly, we live in the middle of the city. Well, we live in the city and we have no place to store. I would love potentially, in theory, to have like a pop-up trailer or something. Just because then we could go camping like in April, like in late October. But we don't have a place to store one. And so I'm not getting into that like financial drain ever that I can see. So we just tent camp, and I love to tent camp. It's awesome. You get, like, at night, there's very little light pollution, so you can look up and see all of the stars. And if it's warm enough and there's not going to be too much dew, this is the best. We didn't get to do that this time because there's too much dew. But when it's really hot and you're camping, the only benefit to camping when it's very hot is that you get to camp without your rain fly on. And so the whole top of our tent is mesh. And so you can go to sleep while looking at the stars. It's so exciting. So yeah, that. Also, it's $15 a night, yo. Sweet. So anyway, I love camping. I'm totally a nerd. I get stressed out to get everything together because my husband always thinks we take too much stuff, even though like I religiously pare everything down. But he's always like, I need. So there's like this kind of like friction right before we go of like, but it all works out in the end, and then it's super festive. Yay! So let's talk about knitting and spinning. Finally. I have a finished object. Oh, spinning wise, I'm still working on that loop bump. I've not been working on it very hard because it is currently like in the mid 80s in Indianapolis, which is, it's not that hot, but I'm really trying to not turn on our air conditioner. Like I made it to June 1st, right? I'm just gonna keep riding the snake. I'm like really trying not to turn on the air conditioner until it's absolutely necessary. A, I'm thrifty. B, there is a B this time. B, I love to sleep with the fan on in the window at night because if it gets down below 70, it's so much cooler than it would be with the air conditioner on. I know technically I could still have the air conditioner on and then open the window and have the fan on because the air conditioner wouldn't kick on and I wouldn't be wasting the cold air, but it's a little dicey, you know, maybe not. So anyway, I love that part. So I really try not to turn on the air conditioner until I have to. Of course, I was cutting out SSK bags yesterday and it was a little disgusting how much I was sweating. Not on your bags, don't worry. So spinning is still happening, but just not at a very good clip. This episode will have spinning, knitting, shameless self-promotion. It already had far too many shenanigans. Knitting. I have a finished object, but I'm not putting it on because I have a sunburn and I'm not putting a bra on. Take it. It's not bad. It's just uncomfortable. Also, it's 80 degrees in my house, and this is while fingering weight. Still, you know, well. So I finished my wispy cardigan, and you will see as I hold it up, I will put pictures in when I am done with this. Hopefully I remember to jazz hands or something. Actually, I'm just going to do it now. So there it is on me. Those are not the greatest pictures. I apologize. They were taken by my child, and they're a little grainy, but whatever. I tried. Here it is in person. Now, this version is slightly different from that pictured. I did the pattern almost exactly as stated, except I had a larger gauge than was in the pattern. And really, I knit mine at too loose of a gauge. The one you saw on me was pre-blocking. And when I blocked it, so I wore it because I thought, and this gauge thing was my idea. This was not in the pattern, okay? So no dissing to Knitbot or anything like that. NFA. The words. So I tried to knit a loose gauge because A, I wanted it to be cooler because it's like a submarine sweater, and B, I wanted to have a good drape. Well, it was too loose of a gauge because when I wore it and it was warm, my body heat it stretched out, and I think it would have been fine, but in my head it just, you know. So when I blocked it, I did put it in the dryer for a few minutes to try to shrink it just a tiny bit because I had plenty of ease everywhere. That was the other thing. Really, I think I had more ease than I really needed. The thing is, I think technically I had zero ease in terms of when you laid down the when you laid down the fabric and measured it, I think I had 0 ease. But because the fabric was so loose, it created more ease in the actual wearing of the garment. So I shrunk it down a little bit, and I am more pleased with it now. And I think it was very successful all over. This is kind of a hard one to photograph because it has these little points. So you kind of don't know how to get that in the photograph without looking ridiculous. Not that that is something I shy away from. But anyway, so I really like it, and I think I like it better now that I shrunk it up a little bit. And it's the perfect color. This is Quince & Company Turn, so it's the one that's 80% wool and 20% silk. And it's the driftwood colorway. I did everything exactly as I was supposed to, accounting for gauge. I picked up a 2 to 3. It looks perfectly lovely. I'm very pleased with it. Yay that. On to works in progress. Okay. Do I have this tag? Oh, I don't. I'll try to remember to put the color in the show notes. But these are the little socks. I've been working on them here and there, but I just haven't showed you them because it was just minor progress. But this is, this yarn, I really dig this yarn. And I usually am very anti-pooling, which you can see there in the arch, but I like this yarn. This is Manos del Uruguay, however you'd like to say it. I don't judge. In their, I think it's Allegro sock. It's their sock weight. And this, I believe, is like Piezo or something. I don't have it here. I'll put it in the show notes. I got this at Simply Sock Yarn. Simply Sock Yarn is awesome. I keep looking at her site and putting things in my cart and then closing it out because I really I want to buy sock yarn so bad. I have way too much sock yarn. And socks take me forever to knit. I'm out of control. Anyway, so I have one, boom, and then I have this much one on the other one. Now this pattern is really not a pattern. I'm doing them top down. I have a 72 stitch foot. These are double zeros. Actually, I do 0 for the cuff and 00 for the foot, just to give me a little bit more, a tighter gauge, a little bit more wear, hopefully. And also, I don't like how the loose gauge feels on my footbed. I prefer to be get a tight gauge on my footbed. Okay, but what this pattern is 4 in stockinette and then 2 of the Skype stitches. So the slip, knit, yarn over, or pass the yarn over. So it's knit 4, Skype, knit 4, Skype. And just a plain old heel, slip stitch heel. I really like them. I really like Simply Sock Yarn. I did so much damage when I went there in person when I went to see the Yarn Harlot though. Whoa! I still have lots of sock yarn left. This bag is not available for sale, but this was one of my trials for my new sock bag. So it's in there. And you can see there is a skeiny yarn, a sock, and almost another one in there. And there's good room. What I like to do is flip it. Because I have the zipper tabs in there, it gives it a little bit extra body right there. So you can easily flip it inside out, and if you don't want to worry about the zipper. And then you could even still carry it that way if you wanted to. Or if the zipper doesn't bother you, you could just do that. I use a different zipper than a lot of folks use. And the coil is, I have a little bit less problem with the yarn getting stuck in the coil. I'm not saying that, it may just be me making that up because I want them to be more efficient or useful. Actually, maybe making that up. But anyway, so you can always flip it. I made them a little bit taller than was necessary so that you could flip it if that's what you like to do. Anyway, next work in progress that you have seen in my bag from The Knotted Bag. She's super cute and she makes cute bags, and I had to have this one because it's farmy. So I am working on the Viajante by Martina Bem. And this is the Woolen Rabbits. It's 80% merino, 20% silk in the lace weight. I apologize, Chantilly? I want to say Chantilly. This is the Midas Touch colorway. And this is how much I have done. So it does not look like, it's only like 50 grams. Oh, this pattern is super easy and very mindless. It's taking forever. I did another one in sport and it took I mean, it didn't take forever, but it seemed like it took forever until I made this one. That said, this is an excellent value knitting project. If you are trying to knit on a budget, lace weight yarn is the way to go. This is a hand-dyed 20% silk yarn, and I'm not mistaken, I think it's $24. You can get any color you want because she'll custom dye the woolen rabbit because she's lovely. I think it's $24 skein. 2 skeins will make a plenty big liaison. You're like, what? Just in the show notes is how it's spelled. Oh, so this whole project is like $48. It's gonna take 8 years. Silk weight is the way to go when you're budget knitting, people, especially if you want to use indie dyers. So much value. So it's very enjoyable in terms of like, I love this yarn, I love the color, I love the drape of it. I'm very excited about the finished project, but the finished object, whatever you want to say. But it is slow going. But that said, that's how much I knit from the last time I showed you. So I'm going to move that thing down to 50 grams out of 200. Oh my. Again, great value. Just stick with it. It's not like the pattern is hard or anything. It's just, it takes a long time. And I think too, now it seems to be going, oh, I just dropped a bunch of stitches. Now it seems to be going a little bit faster. And I believe it's because for a while, I don't like to knit on 16-inch circulars. They hurt my hands. And so for a while, I was knitting it with the traveling loop method. And I think that slows me down. I think magic loop and traveling loop both slow me down. Not so much because it's time to adjust the needles, but because it's opportunity for breaks. Does that make sense? Like, oh, I'm to the end of the needle. Oh, I'm gonna just look on Instagram real quick. Oh, I'm to the end of the thing. I just a little thirsty. So I think when I am in full on circular knitting, it goes a little bit faster because, again, not because it's any much less work to do the needle moving, but just because it's more continuous. And there's less opportunities for you to get, no, squirrel. Because hi. So there is that. And then the last thing that I have to show you knitting wise is something new. I wanted to cast on something with my Three Waters Farm. This is Falkland, and I apologize, I think the colorway was like Summer Pond or something. I don't even know. I wish I could say pond correctly. Pond? How does he say that? The doctor. And originally, I really want to cast on the Sandness cardigan, or Sandness shawl, which was gifted to me by the lovely Susan. And I've wanted to knit that shawl for a long time, going along with Malia's Just Do It Already, or whatever her version of that is. She's having one of those cows. Like, get on with it already. Pick something you've wanted to knit forever, knit it. So I really wanted to make that, and for some reason, for like a hot minute, I was like, yes, that will totally work with this. So I cast on the shawl, and it's a Gertrude Johnston, so it is knit in the more traditional Shetland technique, where you knit the triangle and you knit it with yarn overs as the first stitch. So there's little loops on the triangle, and then you go. This is a standard technique. It's not something she invented. I feel like it's okay to say. And then you go back and pick up along those little yarn overs that you made, and then knit the border out. So there would be no like horizontal rows versus vertical rows. And this one is in stockinette. Traditionally that triangle is made in garter, but this one is stockinette, and I just did not like how this yarn was looking in stockinette at all. I don't know why. I'm trying to get, well, here's the picture with the stinging beautiful Brooklyn tweed model. Oh, God, they're ridiculous. And of course it's knit with loft. But so anyway, so I worked on the triangle, and I sat and looked at it. I held it at arm's length. I think it would have been okay, but then there became this seeping doubt of how this yarn was going to look in that border. I think of this yarn, I really think I want to make this in a natural hand spun. But even if the yarn had been, you can see this yarn is more stripy than it is variegated in its technique. I feel like if the yarn had been relatively more consistent in variegatedness, because that's totally a phrase that makes sense to everyone. Whatever. If this yarn had been more consistent across the skein versus stripy like this, I think it would have worked still. But the stripiness kind of like, it just weirded me out. So I think I'm gonna make this one in hand spun natural. So that's gonna be pretty. And instead, I'm gonna make this coquille. Oh, I'm hiding that from you, but there's the coquille. And it is knit with a mini Moochie, is that right? Yeah, a mini Moochie. It's by M.L. Egan. Of course, it's a knitty pattern, so it is free. That's exciting. Coquille. That sounds like a bird call. Coquille. That's my state bird right now. So it's a sideways shawl. The other thing was the hitchhiker. I was like, oh, but I have a lot of this yarn, and the hitchhiker is a little bit too narrow. Like, it's a little too scarfy. I think it'd be perfect for a smaller quantity, but this, it would just be unmanageably wingspanny. So here it is so far. This one is very interesting how it's constructed. I really dig it. So you knit side to side, but it has this like short row bell in the bottom. I think I just showed you the ones out. I did. It has this little like short row bell in the bottom. Do you see this down here? That's in stockinette. No, that was the right side. Really? Oh, because it's sideways. It looked wrong. So you have this little short row bell down here. This is of no use to you. I am sorry. Which you do in stockinette. And then you have these fun bits of stockinette that are knit. The whole thing, I'm knitting mine, I think it suggests as a 2.75, which is what I'm knitting with my smaller needle. And then suggested US 9, which I'm also using. So you would probably want to go up if you're not a super loose knitter like moi. So then you do some rows with the 9 and some rows with the smaller one. Between that and the bells, it's like, hi, I just cast this on yesterday, I think. Yeah. Zooey. So it was very fun. I hope I like it. So it's almost got its like own little ruffle happening. You could definitely knit it as long as you wanted, depending on how much yarn you had. Just, you know, weigh yourself before. I think it works well with the striping, which again, the mini Moochie is a long color repeat. I hope I like it. I'm enjoying knitting it, nothing else. So there's that. Okay, that is all of that stuff. Let's go on to shameless self-promotion. Oh my gosh, it's 43 minutes. It's crazy. So there will be an update June 6th at 9 p.m. Eastern. There will be pre-orders in this update, which I will talk about. So I'm not sure. It'll depend on the amount of pre-orders that I get as to whether I will have an update on the 20th or not. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But either way, I plan to do an SSK pre-order like the last full week of June, I believe, is what I'm going to do. That's my plan at this point. So I'll do just like I did for Knitting Pipeline. I'll do a pre-order where there'll be like 1 cent shipping, but you have to pick it up at the retreat, at the vending of the retreat. Yeah, because I don't think I could do that beforehand. I think that would be not cool. But anyway, so you can pick it up at the vending event. And I am not going to limit it to only people who are actually attending the full retreat. It will be available to anyone as long as they can pick it up at SSK's vending retreat, at the vending portion. Because there's no way for me really to do that. I'm not checking lists again. That's crazy. So I'm just going to be, it's available for everyone who will pick it up there. And it'll have the little tag, the Super Summer Knit Together Fat Squirrel Fibers wooden tag. And we'll talk more about that when we get closer. But that is coming up the last week of June, especially if you're behind schedule on the podcast project, which we all are. So here are my little sock bags. This one seems very camping appropriate, right? Lightning bug or firefly? What do you say? my gosh, West Coasters, you don't even have them. Isn't that sad? What's up with that? I call them lightning bugs. I will call them fireflies occasionally when I'm trying to be fancy, but really lightning bugs. So there's that one, and these are, this one is a fun lining. Look, this has like the pretty flowers, right? You're like, oh, that's so pretty. But do you see? There are also little footprints in there. I didn't even notice that till after I was sewed like 10 of them. There are totally little footprints in there. Like a little sprite has walked inside your little bag. Okay. So there's that one. And then there's going to be a blue one. And its liner is a darker blue with like feathers and twigs and lovely stuff. Then for the large wedge size, we have this one, which has lovely horses. And I've tried very carefully to get one side with a little girl on it. See a little horse riding girl. Isn't that cute? These, the rest of them have the natural unbleached lining because I like it for body. You don't need as much body in the little ones. And also when you flip it over, it's fun that it's a pretty color. So there's that one. And then alternately, same print, different colorway. We have this like lovely orangey one. Yay! This little girl in her pink dress. Some will have two, but I hope everyone has at least one with a girl. Then, sweater size. So these are 18 inches long. They're pretty big. So you see. What you may not be able to see as well in this fabric is that there are little firefly in the tree. Do you see that place in your middle left side that is glowy? See, that kind of looks a little bit glowy right there. Isn't that fun? It's like a little painting of light. So again, everyone should have a girl. Probably on both sides, but one girl may be lower or something. And then I have the blue colorway. You can see the little lights, I guess, better there, I think. So yay. I have several of the sweater size sewn, but I will do a pre-order for the sweater size because when I bought the fabric, I wasn't sure if I would have a lot of waste because of the size of the repeat. There's only one little girl every so many trees. So I will do a pre-order for them because it did work out. It was okay. So yeah, I'll do that. And then the pre-order should ship no later than July 1st. My husband is creeping. I don't know what he's doing. So that'll be an option as well. Okay. There will be a limited number of pre-orders, but it'll be generously limited. I think that's all. Oh my gosh, finally. If you still love me after this week, I'll see you next week.